Good morning. I'm Bill Putnam. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have gone through the process of building a home or gone through a major renovation in your life? You remember all those decisions? I mean, plumbing fixtures, lighting fixtures, color schemes, textures. And then when it came to the kitchen cabinets, you know, you thought you were making a decision for a lifetime, right? That you'd have to live with for the rest of your life. And Nancy and I were walking through our house with the electrical plan in front of us. Of course, we could read it, right? And we finally go into, again, after a week of doing all this decision making, we walk into this one room and we just start to X out things, and then the contractor turns and says, well, you just took out all the electricals in the room. So we said, okay, we better put some of those back. So you make these decisions early in the process, you hurry up, they require you to make them, and then you just sit and wait, and then months later, when they start to install the stuff, you say, is that what we picked? We picked that? In a sense, that's what's been going on ever since the town hall meeting in March of 2012. We've been building a house. We've been building the foundation for a spiritual house in Bluffton. This is not just a house of worship for you folks, this is your home. Someday, that house in Bluffton will turn into the home, a spiritual home for somebody. And many of those people, as you'll discover when I ask Daniel to spend some time with us in just a few minutes, don't know what that feels like. They don't know what it feels like. They have no relationship right now with a current church. So I make that reference only to tell you that things have been very busy ever since our town hall meeting. Ever since you folks gave us the green light to go ahead and try this thing on for size, this thing called the Bluffton Extension Project, to try to discern whether this indeed was a mission that we were being called to do by God. But almost 4 years ago, we started the discernment process. We created this visioning team. Neil put us on the path to taking a strong look at St. Andrew. And as a result, we wound up endorsing this project, having met many, many times. Neil kept count for a while in terms of how many times we met. I think you lost count. But the several things that we said to you in March of 2012, I thought I would just remind us all of, because they're important. One of them is, we said we would not go forward with the project at all unless the conference came through with the right person. The bishop would appoint the right person to join the staff of St. Andrew and work with us principally on the Bluffton initiative. And that indeed happened. We had the good fortune to receive Daniel into our midst in late June of 2012. And then we put him to work to have him learn about St. Andrew and how St. Andrew does church. And that took him all of about 3 days. It's a quick study. And then we began to start building upon some early efforts and early ideas. The other thing we promised you was there wasn't going to be much of a financial impact to us during this first 18 months. It was a low-risk kind of initiative. I've passed out a little sheet there that shows you the year-to-date, ever since we started in 2012. It shows you the various sources of revenue. If you look at it, you'll see that we started with a balance of about $34,000, and And that was due to the sale of the parsonage. We put that into escrow, into a future Bluffton initiative at that time. And then the conference came through with contributions of, and the district as well, totaling $42,000 up until mid-August. That doesn't include paying for the complete compensation, housing, and travel package for Daniel and his family, which is footnoted there for you. And then at the end of this year, we had a surplus, and the church council voted to take part of it, 40,000 of it, and also put it into the budget. And when we asked the endowment committee to help with the initial efforts to renovate the space, which we call the Bluffton Ministry Center, they were good enough to come up with $9,500. So that's how the income flows. And then from there, you'll see the expenses and the startup expenses to renovate. We had wonderful help from so many people in and outside the church to do that. Kelly's dad hung the curtains, and that was, I found him working on a ladder. We introduced ourselves, and he was installing the curtains. We had just a wonderful team of people that just joined in to furnish the facility. If you haven't seen it, please do stop by sometime and pick up a shake at Dairy Queen, and then come on over across the street and take a look at it. And you'll see a few more pictures in just a minute, Daniel's presentation. So that was the other thing we promised you. The other thing we talked about the fact that initially the conference was really going to support us, and we thought they would continue to support us, and indeed they have, and all signs point to the fact that that's going to continue to happen. However, this is our mission. And so we will start to absorb more and more of the costs as we move into 2014. Once you take a look at the 20 items on Daniel's list and you realize all of that's been done on $42,000, that's pretty extraordinary. What it doesn't show you is the extraordinary amount of time that your staff and many other people, including what we call the Bluffton Action Team that works with Daniel, and many volunteers in this church, the hours that they have put in for those so-called, what we call preview events. The planning that goes into each one of those events is without parallel. What the staff does to get ready for any one of those events is remarkable. And yet nothing has changed here at Pope Avenue. Nothing has changed here. Not one part of our mission activity, our outreach activity, our ministry to others and to among ourselves has changed at all. But obviously we can't sustain that. You can't ask a staff to continue at the size it's at and continue to perform at that high a level on an ongoing basis. Why haven't we done anything about it? Well, because we said we would come back to you within 18 months and ask for your final approval to go forward with this mission project called Bluffton Extension. And since we're in that stage between temporary approval by the congregation and final approval, it made no sense at all to start thinking in terms of adding headcount. We certainly didn't budget anything in the church. Not one dime has come out of the church operating budget for 2013 for this project. And that's important to note. Everything has been covered essentially by the conference contributions, and with a few dollars coming out of that reserve that we built up for the opening of the center out there. So what we have here is, and the reason why we're getting together with you is just to give you as much information, and of course, again, we made this commitment to you that we would be as transparent as possible in every way as far as any information that's relevant to the project. And I think we've kept that pledge, and we will continue to keep that pledge. What we have here is a convergence of interest. We have a mission that's beginning to really take hold, and you'll see in just a minute how exciting things are and what is transpiring with the Bluffton initiative. But we also have this wonderful renovation of this space here, and Roger Abney is going to, the second half of the program is going to, for those of you who didn't see that presentation, he's going to talk to you about that, and we have a film of the architect, which is invaluable in showing you, because Roger and Dean spent hours and hours building out a temporary model of what it would look like, and so you will see that on the video. The reason I say convergence is, if you ever renovated one room of your house and then you walk around the rest of your house and by comparison, okay, now what do? We've taken care of that room. So if we renovate from here back, what do we do with this? Somebody's got to start thinking about that. And that in turn implies that after 25 years, this sanctuary has not changed at all, has not been changed at all. After 25 years, it's time perhaps to make some significant changes. And oh, by the way, we've got a building next door that's 38 years old. And we just can't put any more money into it. It's just a black hole. It's just outlived its useful life. So, is there a distinct possibility that a capital campaign is looming in our future? Yes. Yes. The people that built this 25 years ago had a wonderful vision. The people that 12 years ago built the Celebration Center had an amazing vision. And now it's our turn to look at St. Andrew and take care of this place we call Pope Avenue, this epicenter of this wonderful community of mission, faith, love. And that's a distinct possibility. A lot of work ahead of us. That's not what the vote is about on September 22nd. The vote is about you giving us authority to do this project, which Roger will spend more time on, and to go forward with the Bluffton initiative. That's what the vote is. There are actually two votes on the 22nd. Once that's complete, then Church Council will begin to figure out where we go next in the life of this church. So I hope that helps a little bit in terms of, this is one man's opinion, but the way I see things sort of rolling out. It's an exciting time to be here. You know, while we're doing the visioning, look at what popped up. Soup Kitchen, Backpack Buddies, just to name two. And I'm sure there are other initiatives. Of course, we had our ongoing mission trips and mission initiatives, which the visioning team had no responsibility for whatsoever. Speaking of the visioning team, and then I'll turn it over to Daniel. On September 22nd, we conclude our business. It was an ad hoc committee formed almost 4 years ago. And the work we did was often messy and back and forth and confusing, but we stuck with it. And I'm proud to say that for me, it was a distinct privilege to work with such a great group of people. And I would just want to acknowledge who was on that team. Jeff Jones, Ward Kirby, Joy McDonald, Dave Reneker, Mike Rogers, Jim Gresham, Keith Dodson, Juanita Grawl, Charlie Hanna, Dave Morris, who has since moved away, and of course Neil, Daniel, and at times other members of the staff. So we, on behalf of the visioning team, we thank you, the congregation, for giving us the opportunity to work with this program for the last 16 months. And we prayerfully hope that you will continue to support it come September 22nd. So I turn it over to Daniel.